Hey, it's time for domain camp. Are you ready, Felix? Old fashioned. And so, hello to one watcher. This video could be for you. So, just to acquaint you for week three, I've already kind of given you a rundown of what we're doing. The video right now, there's 4 activities. Again, feel free to do whatever you want. I'll be here tomorrow at 3 p.m. EST, or I should put this in the notes. You can show up at the Ontario Extend office hours at 12:30 p.m. We do kind of these lunchtime chats on Thursday, and you just use Zoom to come on in and ask questions, throw rotten tomatoes. And then we really hope see a little bit of communication in the Reclaim community. I'm just going to open this because I think this is actually one of the most important things you should walk away with, is knowing that there's a place you can go here within Reclaim hosting that you can ask questions. We've created, there's a lot of ones that are kind of technical, and we kind of created this Newbies Corner one for people who may just be in for the first time. So I've been posting some of the stuff for Domain Camp just to announce it here. But if you have a question, or it's just like, how do I do this thing in WordPress? Or who has a good plugin for doing this? Or does anybody know some good themes that I can run with Grav or something like that? So again, I'm really pumping this as a place to go. Yeah, you can ask on Twitter and you might get a reply, but everybody in here is kind of in your boat. So some of the things that we're doing this week for week three, there are 4 activities, and I'm just going to run through them really quick. So the first one is this building a WordPress calling card site, and I'll just briefly go through the steps that you'll want to do in there. I will point out, let's see if I have one that's not voted for. Like, I don't know if you noticed in the activity bank, there's a way for you to sort of rate them. And so that kind of will help other people in the future. So if the email of your own was really kind of crappy, it isn't, but give it 1 star. Or if it's really great, give it 4 stars. And so just going through, I've already rated that post. Let's do that one. I've already rated that post. Okay. Anyhow, you could only vote once. It's kind of like elections. Well, technically, if you go to a different IP address, you can cheat the election board. But first of all, we're going to go through this idea of a calling card site. I've been talking about it a lot. You've already installed WordPress once. There's one thing, if you're new to WordPress, that's really important, that's shown in this GIF here, is this idea about going from your dashboard, going over and being able to get to your site to see how it's looking, and then coming back and forth to the dashboard. You'll do this so many times, you'll probably never think of it again. So there are 3 of these kind of calling card sites. They're not the only ones. If you want to use a different theme, that's fine. There are a couple in the WordPress repository, but this is also to give you some practice in how to install themes that aren't in the official theme bank, but you can actually upload to your site. And so this is one called Big Picture, and this is all one page. Every time I'm clicking this button and I'm scrolling down, and it's just got a little bit of text that comes into the side, and you go to the next section and it comes in from the other side. And but if you watch the scroll bar, you can see that this is all more or less on one page. There's kind of a fancy gallery if you want to go that far. And then there's a cute dog at the bottom. This also has these menu links at the top, which take you to these sections. So for a landing page site, this is a way of sort of letting you set up a teaser. And you will learn in this theme, if you have more, like it's fast moving, well, I can click more, and then you actually go to a full page that has content on it. It's got a broken image and maybe video. Oh, it's a GIF. So this is kind of a simple site, but it's not organized by blogs or posts. So there is that one. Let's see if I can get back to where I was without. Okay. There is this one called WP Dimension. All these are based upon this set of what are called static HTML themes that some people, I've used them a lot for projects, but they're kind of converted to WordPress, so you can do a lot more and not have to know any. This one is actually a real site done by Kim Jackson, who's an English teacher at Colorado, where's she? Colorado State University, Chico in California. And so she has this one. She already had a blog on her site. This is one of the reasons I chose it, but she put it in kimjackson.com/me, which you can do in a subdirectory, because she already had an existing blog on the front of her domain. But she was able to change this icon. There's a way we'll show you, or the theme will show you how you can add links to your social media site. And then you just decide if you want, a handful of little boxes, and each one of these is just a little bit of information that she can put up. She's got a page about her. She's got a page about her teaching, and then links out to that. Her presenting, some of her presentation. So these are really almost like traffic direction sort of sites. And so each one of these little boxes, the content actually comes from a WordPress post, and you can control the order. But more or less this theme, you actually stay in the same page, and it just puts up information. So that's what I really like about this one. And then I'll just show really quickly. Highlights is similar to the big picture one, except in this one, as you scroll down the page, the image behind will change automatically as you scroll. So each one of these is actually a WordPress post. The image is a big featured image. And so you kind of get this effect of seeing different images come down on the sign. And then you can always link to more information. So again, you may not really think these are the best or they're really suitable, but the thing is for you to try this. And so if you start with big picture and you're like, oh, this isn't really working for me, you can actually install the other ones and try it out. That's the beauty of WordPress, is like all your content is stored separately from the presentation. So if I was going to do this, let's say I was going to do WP Dimension. All these are stored in this place called GitHub, which is where code goes. You don't really have to understand much about this site, what it does. But the most important thing is you want to download. Each one of these is a theme. It's a package of files. And what you want to do to install this is I want to download this as a zip file. I want to have this stored on my computer for the next step. Down the page, and you'll refer to this, is some information about the theme and about what it can do. You'll find examples, which is kind of helpful to see. I don't know about this theme, the counselor says it's pretty good, but if you want to see how other people have used them, you can look there. And then we're going to go through the installing from scratch method of putting this. And then the instructions where you come back to are going to be here. And this shows you all the steps for how to change the settings, the text on here, the logo, how to create the menu that has the social media icons. So it might look like a lot, but I like to think it's pretty well explained. So what will happen is, first of all, you're going to decide, where you want to put this thing. If your domain is new, you might just want to park it at the top of your domain. And remember, I'm at extendlabs.ca. You could do like Kim did, and she can put it in a directory like /me, or you can do what we had some practice with already. You can create a subdomain. So those are your choices that you want to think about when you're creating a domain. So I could put it in something like create a subdomain called, or even have one called about.extendlabs.ca. So this one is already sitting here. And so I could put it in there. I could put it in extendlabs/me where I already have one. But if you remember, I just have on my front page this kind of simple placeholder thing that was done with that site builder tool, site publisher. I'm not crazy about it. It's too hard to change the picture. And basically, it's just simple text. So in this case, I'm going to replace what's here with a WordPress site, and we can do that within our installer. So it's important to think first, where the heck is this thing going to go? So like before, we've done this maybe 2 or 3 times. We're going to go to WordPress. And of course, we're going to like skip past right this stuff, because what we're going to do is we want to install WordPress. And again, I've been thinking about where to put this, which is always the first big step. And so I could, I could put it into maybe my about this domain here. I could do that, but or I could go back. I think, no, I want it in the top of my domain. So I could put it there, but I don't want it /blog. So I would take this one out. I could do /who, and so this would be in extendlabs.ca/who, but actually I'm just going to park this thing right at the top of my domain there. And I always get this password thing that comes here. Ignore that. And leave the directory blank, and always confirm by I can see extendlabs.ca is right here. Again, we've done this a couple times. We're just going to create this. We're going to keep the arbitrary thing. We're going to call this who are the scientists, because I've been calling this the mad scientist. And so we're going to just go ahead like we've done, and we're installing this WordPress site into the top level of our domain. It's somewhere down on this page. I like watching this. It's pretty exciting. 47%. Go, go, go. Again, like when WordPress first started like 10 years ago, this was so difficult. That's why it was really like a mountain to climb to do this. But in one click with Reclaim Hosting and Installatron, I have this blog in here. And so now, if I go to extendlabs.ca, now look, I've replaced already that with the generic WordPress that I get out of the box. I can also come in to my extendlabs.ca. I can get to my backend. This is the dashboard. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to get a install that theme. So here's you're going to get your steps. So under Appearance, we're going to go over to Themes. And it's going to show me just the kind of the standard ones, 2015, 2016, 2017. WordPress produces these. It's kind of like the default theme you get with a new site. I don't know what happened to them. They must have gotten lazy in 2018 because there's no new theme. But what we're going to do, typically you might search for themes, and you might look for, and you're certainly welcome to do this. Oh, no, these are my existing themes. Actually, I want to go to Add New, because we're going to add a theme that doesn't exist. So you could try to find a theme that might work for you. And I think if you look under landing page, you might find a few. They tend to look like those business sites that have, big picture at the top, a couple menu buttons. Look, there's one. Some icons down the page. These are not bad. And again, that's the beauty of WordPress, is you can sort of try on a theme, and then if you don't like it, get another. So there's these one page, single page builder. These are, I believe, these are all free because we're installing from inside our thing. So you could use Draco. Looks pretty good. You can try it out. But we're going down this manual route. So we're going to upload a theme. So what we're going to do, I've already downloaded the zip file for that theme. So you probably can't see because I haven't shared my desktop, but I'm looking in my downloads folder, and I actually already misplaced it, so I'm gonna have to search for it. When the theme goes WP dimension. Okay. Well, now I'm gonna go back to GitHub, make sure I got this thing. download this zip. I always forget where I'm in Safari. Oh, come on. Windows, where do my downloaders go? Come on, Alan, where's my downloads? Show downloads. Oh, that's why I don't use Safari. So, hang on. Oops, I just lost Safari. I did download that theme. I'm just going to have to talk you through this. Safari tries to be so helpful, and it unzipped my theme. So I'm going to have to find this WP dimension downloads name. You ever have one of those days? All right, so WP dimension. Where are you? My demo is falling apart. Oh, here it is. All right, so I'm just going to have to. There we go. Finally found it. Okay, now I'm coming back to my add themes. Sorry about that. I'm looking for the one I downloaded. It's called wp-dimension-master.zip. If you don't upload a zip file, it won't work. And so we're going to select that file. We're going to install this theme right now. Think about this. So it's actually a WordPress site. It's going to put it in the place where WordPress starts and serves all its themes. It's going to unpackage it, and it's going to show me now this progress stage. Theme installed successfully. And so what I want to do is I'm just going to activate this. I'm going to take a chance and just sort of look and see what, and I can see in my theme collection now I've got this new one called WP Dimension. So I'm going to visit the site. It's probably not going to be all that pretty. Right here, it's just got the basics. And so when you come back to the GitHub site, I'm not going to go through all these steps. And the link goes to the starting place where you begin to make the site your own. We're going to come back to this site. And there's a fair bit that you can do in this thing called the customizer. And again, in the old days of WordPress, they didn't have this at all. This allows you to do some things, and you can actually see some of the changes as you go. So the tagline, just another word price, you can change right here. We are not mad. And so actually, I just changed this, and you can see it changed the text on the right. There's a couple things you can do. The header image is going to be the image that appears in the background. So I'm going to quickly see if I can just find an interesting image to put into my background screen. So this is going to show up as behind everything that shows up on my site. So I'm going to take a nice sunset picture. I don't know if you can see me uploading, but the image is going to come up here. For these background images, you generally want a big image. Mine's a little bit small, but it will work here. And it does, there's a few things that it needs to do to sort of fit in the aspect ratio that it wants. It'll crop the image because the theme is asking us. So now I've got this with my background. Now here's a bonus tip for anybody who's watching. I can add another image. Watch this. And I can add, maybe I'll add my cactus flower one here. So I'm going to add another image to use for my background. I like this, and this is a thing that you get by this being a WordPress theme and not in just the original theme that it came from. So now I could say like, oh, maybe a flower is kind of nice for the background, but I've got two images here. So you can actually upload 10, 12. I have a site where I've got like 30 different images. And you can click this randomize uploaded headers. And so this means every time someone comes to this site, they're going to get a randomly chosen background image. I think that's pretty cool. The other thing that you can do with this is you can add a custom quote to this. Is tinkering is divine, said Einstein. He didn't really say this, but so there's a little quote. It's like another tagline that appears up here. You don't have to use it. You can leave it blank if you really don't want this. And there is a footer text at the bottom. It says, made by Extend Labs. And you can, I don't know if you can see it right at the bottom. It just changed this first part of the text that's in here. So this is some of the visual things that you can do with your theme. So I'm going to publish that. So that changes some of the things that happen up. What you will do in these themes is when you're done, we're going to come back and we can see, like, we've already made some changes. There's another place in the customizer where you can swap this little gear thing for an image that you choose. It'll automatically crop it to that little circle. If I do a reload, let's see how random this is. Not so random. I'll try it again. Not so random. You know how random goes. All right, trust me, there's a random flower in the mixer. It's not good demo day. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard and just show you a little bit with this theme. And actually, the other themes work really similar. So the content is in this thing called it's posts. So these act as blog posts. WordPress always gives you this hello world thing that usually it's the first thing I get rid of. So I'm going to create a new post. These are the things that act as the boxes that appear on the site. So who the heck are we? That is the question. And in the field here, you can put anything that you want that you put in a WordPress post. You can have formatted text, bullets, lists, pictures, links, embed videos. But for right now, I'm just going to do random kind of junk here. The other thing that you can do is that's kind of a long title, and that won't fit in the box. So the front box label is, I'm just going to say who, because that'll be the text on the button. You can also have it at the bottom, optionally, link to a different website. So if you want to use it to see more, I'm going to say extend. I'm going to have it linked to Ontario Extend for this Go button. And we're going to put in extend.e found lucky. He will not have a typo. And there's actually a way, and I'm not going to bother it now. There's sort of a style you can apply that will change the icon on the button. Oh, I'll just change it to car because it suggests car. And so that changes everything here. There's this thing called order, and this controls the order at which these posts appear across your strip. So once I have like 5 or 10 of them, I put a number in here to put them in sequential order instead of typically in a blog. WordPress orders things by the date. So as you add your other boxes in there, that's how you control the order. So I'm going to publish this. Doesn't really matter what the URL is because we don't really see this. And I'm going to go back to my site. And now hopefully I'm going to see I have a box. Oh, that's amazing. I can open this box. It's got the text. I could have had a featured image. I could, you see I have the link to the car, to Ontario Extend. And so what you're going to do is just add other posts. This one will be what? What the heck do we do? I'm going to say bad grammar, spill crumbs, earn stuff. And that's all I'm going to do. And this one, I will publish this. And for now, because they both have an order of 0, let's see if my thing works. It's going to just do them in this order, which is kind of neat. So I could sort of do like a who, what, where, when thing. I think you have up to 10 boxes you can put in here. But when you look at your posts now, it'll show you the order here. So if I want the what one to come first, here's a little advanced trick. There's this thing called quick edit. So I'm going to leave that 0 because that's the lowest number. I'm going to make this order here. I'll make it 2 because I might insert something else there. So now when I come back to my site, I'm spending my whole time here on one demo. I don't know if you remember, now what is the one that appears first. So you can control the order that things work on the screen. So the other themes actually work fairly simple. There's one other step you have to do to put get the icon menu for social media. You actually have to install a plugin, so it's a good little practice for installing plugins. Again, all of it is explained in the documentation for the themes, and this is a chance for you to spend some time in your camp house working on some of this stuff. There's another activity if you want to try out some of these things. Splot, what a funny word. Guy in British Columbia named Brian Lamb is to blame for this. So there are a couple sort of like websites you can build that run in WordPress. They come with WordPress themes that allow you to do things that are just beyond blogs. So one of them that I created kind of is a, no, that didn't open, wrong window. Let's just see if I can get this one in here. It's sort of a PowerPoint in WordPress sort of thing. So each one of these, I can just start a slideshow, and it's a theme that puts a nice image at the top. If you want to, you can put notes and other content at the bottom, but you can also just use the arrow keys. I'm pressing the left arrow key to sort of go through this. So you can use WordPress to sort of be a presentation tool. But the nice thing is, instead of just getting a PowerPoint deck, you can put all kinds of information behind it as sort of a living presentation. So that is one of the things that are available within the list of Splots. There's a couple more. There's one that allows you to create a way for people to collaborate building collection of images. For each one of these, there's an information page. There's a place to see some examples. And again, these themes are installed in GitHub. So there's documentation there and that place where you download the zip file that you need to install WordPress. So this one allows you, people can publish or contribute images to your site, but they don't need to have to know how to use WordPress. They never see WordPress. They use what's known as a front-end form. There's Splotbox that allows you to sort of create a collection of audio and video content. There's one called TRU Writer, which allows you to have a publishing platform where you can have your students or people write articles or share poetry. I've seen people use it to sort of create an online journal with media in it, and SplotPoint that you've seen. So if you kind of want to get yourself a little bit more down and dirty with WordPress and get in there, you can experiment with some of these Splots. The other thing I mentioned about the email, this one is pretty straightforward. We're going to get back to, I lost my cPanel, of course. I've got too many windows open here. Oh, here we are. So in our cPanel, there are a couple things that you can do for email. And so honestly, I've only used 2 of these. So one of them is creating an email account. So you can actually create an account. If I wanted to create an account for my dog Felix, I could create one for him at extendlabs.ca. Then it'll be a password that Felix needs to know to log into his account. I mean, these are real email accounts. You can even have mailbox quotas and all that groovy thing. And look, it even sends a welcome email with mail client instructions. So makes it easy to sort of see what kind of accounts you have set up. So I'm going to go back to the email section. I thought I had an account set up, but maybe I don't. And so what happens is, Art, I'll give Felix an email account. He really needs one. Generate a password. And so Felix doesn't need much email. And so he's going to get some information at his account. So the thing I want to show you is now I can see all the accounts, the email I created. The thing is, like, this is an email that has your domain in it. Now you can set up with the information that you'll get in the email or through this connect devices link. If you go to set up mail client, here's a whole list of instructions with how to set up different apps for configuring. Like, you can add extra email accounts to your Gmail account. So you can do it manually, or you can sort of read these instructions for how to configure email. I don't really use regular email all that much because, you know, I already have too many email accounts. But there's another nifty thing that I think you can do that is actually more handy. It's this idea of a forwarder. So instead of creating an email account that you have to check all the time, you can create these forwarders. And so these act like if someone sends an email to madscientist@extendlabs.ca, it's just going to go to my Gmail account. Or I set up another one that goes to my secret Yahoo account. You can send me a lot of email. And all you do when you create a forwarder is you sort of create the address that you want it to be. So if I have like some people might just do contact. That's kind of a generic one. So if you want to have, if you don't want to give out your personal email address, this is a really good use case. I can create one at contact@extendlabs.ca. And then you put in the real address that you want this to get sent to, so your personal email address. And so that's the way I usually use this. So I'll put a different one in just because I have 90 million email addresses. And I basically just add that as a forwarder. So that means anytime someone sends an email to contact@extendlabs.ca, it gets sent to a different email account. You can have multiple people get these. So if you have, like, I've done some projects where I need like 3 people to get emails from the info thing. So it just gets sent out or forwarded to the email accounts that they address most of the time. I'm actually gesturing with my hands. You just can't see it because I'm screen sharing right now. And there's some useful things that you can do in Gmail with filters, so it doesn't end up in your inbox. You can have it automatically sent to a label or subfolder. So I do all that so many times, and it's incredibly useful. The last thing that we're going to do, it's kind of geeky, and it gets into this stuff called SSL, which means that it's sending, when you go and visit a website, it's sending you information, all kinds of stuff, but it's just coming in as stuff that anybody, if there's people spying on you, can see if they intercept it. I don't really worry about this all that much, but there's been a technology developed over a long time that's becoming more and more prominent, where that information is encrypted and it kind of keeps it from people being able to spy at. Like I say, that's not the real important thing. But let's say on a WordPress site, if you don't want anybody hacking into your admin area, it's an idea because there's a login on that page. And so that's one reason to have the secure site. But the other reason is that Google Chrome has been slowly trying to push people to use this. And you can get in all kinds of conspiracy reasons that don't involve socks, why that is happening. But they're going to start possibly favoring search results to sites that are HTTPS instead of HTTP. And also in Google Chrome, I think in a month or two, if it just comes across as HTTP, it's going to say not secure. And that might freak some people out from going to your site. So we're kind of not, I just think it adds like this incredible complexity to what you're trying to do, but it's worth having an understanding about. Colleague of mine at the University of Oklahoma, Laura Gibbs, online CRS lady, course lady, follow Laura. That's my recommendation. But she mentioned she's doing a lot of stuff where she teaches in an LMS in Canvas. And I think it's possible in Blackboard where you could sort of embed content from your domain into these systems using an HTML iframe tag. But it will only work if the site where it's coming from is SSL. So that's one sort of reason to do it, besides the fact that, you know, people are trying to scare you about not being secure. I'm pretty insecure about not being secure. So, and this is another great, you know, plug for what Reclaim Hosting does. I don't know too many web hosts that make it this easy. There is a pane, P-A-N-E, not P-A-N-E, called security in here. And there's a thing called Let's Encrypt. So to make this work, you need to have a thing called a security certificate on your domain. Now, I have a couple. You're not going to have any to begin with. But down at the bottom, it's going to list everything. It's going to have your primary domain, like mine is extendlabs.ca. And it's going to have these other ones. These are for the subdomains that I create. Once you create a subdomain, like a secure certificate, everything that comes after the slash, like if you have a lot of little sites underneath, that's covered. It's really what happens at the top. But if I already have, let's say, I've got this one at about.ca. Yeah, that one doesn't have a certificate. And this is easy. And you're not even going to know what it does when it happens. But I'm going to issue this certificate. It's going to look at I don't even read this, to be honest. I just click issue. And basically, that sets up everything that your web account needs to make content available over HTTPS. So before, I just think, I can't remember what I have there. So right now, this is actually I just put in the domain and it came in as, it's a static site that I made. If I put HTTPS in front of this, what you're going to notice at the top, there's a little lock icon in Safari. In Google Chrome, it's going to say secure. And so I can get to this site over HTTPS. But that's only if I remember to do it. So there are some like arcane steps that we give you in here for making sure that no matter what URL people use, they get to HTTPS. So that's a static site, and you've got to go into the file manager and edit this obscure file. If you have an existing WordPress site, you don't even have to do this. There's a plugin that takes care of all of this, and it'll make sure if you have an older or previous installed WordPress site, you can make it so it works over HTTPS. And if someone doesn't use that, it makes sure it forwards into it. The thing to keep in mind is that as we do new things with our Installatron, and you may have even noticed this, is that when you get to that part of the Installatron where you pick the location, I would say for any new site you're creating, just start with it being at an HTTPS. It'll make your life easier. It really makes little difference to what you do. But when we come to this setting here, you can actually see, like if I go down to one of these, like my about, like I could install it in http.about.extendlabs. We don't really care about the www, but look, it's already pre-set up where if I wanted to, I could say run WordPress in this subdomain with HTTPS out of the box. So anything new that you do, I really encourage you to do this through HTTPS. And once you do it, you'll probably never even notice, but it will make, it probably doesn't make sense right now. But for the